Hi everyone. Welcome to the season 2 MOV Leaders episode 9. This is a special episode because we are going to talk about marketing. Yes, that too, digital marketing. Today's episode is all about the parity gap, representation, opportunities, struggles, and everything about digital marketing and how women are striving towards the success in digital marketing. Though there is a lot of buzz about women in digital marketing, the reality is only one third of them are are women population in digital marketing. Is it a perception or is it reality? Because in the recent times, especially in the pandemic era, you would be seeing a lot of women leaders striving as influencers, thought leaders, etc. But still, the stats remain the same. That too, they find it difficult when they move it certain point above the ladder, as usual. As the pyramid goes up, the percentage of women is coming down. How is this happening? And more than this, with despite all these challenges, women like Elizabeth Presher are breaking it and proving that they can cross the parity pay, they can break the gender gap, and they can capture a unique place for themselves. So, without any further delay, I wanted to invite Elizabeth to the show so that we can discuss more about women in digital marketing.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much
Mm.
for agreeing to do this because I still remember the breakfast we had in New York. It was an amazing place. And the one thing throughout the breakfast was all about, like, wow, what a ball of energy is this person. So that was always roaming in my mind. And that moment, I decided that one episode I have to invite her and I want her to share her, story. Because why? Elizabeth, because I used to wonder, like, women entrepreneurs are a rare commodity for sure, and them being successful, that too in digital marketing as a niche field, right? So it always makes me to ask so many questions to you. I thought, like, why not in this show so that everyone else also can learn like me? So the same thing triggers me to ask the first question. What made you to choose the digital marketing field, and what prompted you to find or found the high digital?
Yeah, so I always joke, and I will make this concise, but I always joke that my entrepreneurial story actually started when I was born. My parents were really young. My mom, immediately after I was born, and I have an older sister who's 15 months older, my mom was laid off her job at a factory. And she, during that time of her layoff, started thinking, what else can I do? And so they called her back to the factory. They said, hey, your job's available. And she said, um, thank you, but no thank you. I want to do something different. So she decided to start a cleaning company. It started in homes. It really gave her that flexibility to be with my sister and I. And it grew into this amazing commercial cleaning company that now has I think 200 employees, and the revenue is incredible. And so I was so thankful, and I had such a unique growing up experience where I saw my mom, say, I'm going to do things different. So um, I always knew that I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know exactly what that was. And so in 2013, I had done event planning, and I had these jobs that I loved. I had two little boys at this time. And I was sitting at work, and I thought, I was doing event planning with, corporations. And I thought, this isn't what I want to be when I grow up. I loved it, but it wasn't it. So I thought, I'm going to start a boutique. So I messaged a friend and I said, hey, I think I'm going to start a boutique. And she said, oh, I know someone, who had a boutique. We started, connecting, and started this mobile boutique. It looked like a food truck, but filled with clothes. And that was really kind of the big transition to digital marketing. We know when we start a business, as much as we think we're starting, a business where we buy and sell clothes, we know that to sell the clothes, we need to learn about marketing. So it was, my background was kind of consultative sales, but not really the marketing side. The more I got into my boutique, I realized I love this part of it. I loved the email marketing. I loved learning about Facebook ads. And as my boys got older, retail got harder. So I thought, I think I'm going to start helping other women who have boutiques. I think that could be a really good fit for my personality. And so I actually started coaching at first. I would meet with clients and I would say, okay, what are your struggles? How can we help? And I would kind of audit what they were doing. And I would say, okay, this is your to-do list. These are areas that can help improve your business. When we meet in 2 weeks, let's, check some of those things off the list. So they would come back to me and nothing got checked off the list. Or they never came back. Some of them I think just thought, I don't have time for this. I don't know how to do this. It was really overwhelming. And so it really opened my eyes to this need for service providers in the boutique space. I thought, I love boutiques. I love digital marketing. And so, the areas that I really enjoyed, I tried to learn more about. I took courses. I, kind of looked to see where the biggest gaps, where holes that I can fill, and started learning more about all of those areas and really decided, you know, these women that wanted to grow their businesses, they didn't need more things on their to-do list. They needed me to take them off their to-do list. And so that really started, the digital marketing agency side of it for me. How do we help these women grow? My mission was to encourage and empower boutique owners or e-com business owners to provide their families with the income they need and the time they deserve. So, looking at strategies that could really make them a lot of money, but not necessarily add anything, on their to-do list. So that was really, my transition. I never thought I'm going to open a digital marketing agency, but one of the things I realized was, sometimes we kind of forget these, years ago when I was a senior in college, I interned at an advertising agency, very traditional agency. And when I graduated, I thought, oh man, I think I want to work at an ad agency. And I looked for some jobs and they just weren't there. And so I kind of gave up that dream. And it hit me 2 years ago, I think, when I realized, hey, I thought I, wanted to work in an agency and work for someone else. And here I am with this digital marketing agency that's mine. And that was, a really fun moment of realization. And to kind of wrap this part up, but, as we grew as an agency, especially during COVID, during shutdowns, we were, had a lot of clients that came to us and they said, I have a really successful brick and mortar. I don't have a presence online. I either don't know how to use my online store. I don't know how to get traffic to it. I don't know how to grow my app base. And so we really exploded. We grew very quickly. And, growth is really fun, but it's also really hard. And so through that, I realized the way we were going about it needed to change because my heart is to serve people really well. And we weren't able to because of that rapid growth. And so an opportunity, came up for me to become a part of Height Digital, which is a newer digital marketing franchise. It's a new model, but an established brand that has, we basically, by joining Height, we got 200 plus amazing, Facebook ad specialists, PPC, SEO, all these, digital marketing strategists that are now serving our clients really, really well. So it was, so many things happened that it wasn't necessarily that I, planned for it, but it's so fun to see how it works out.
Very interesting, Elizabeth. So, it has so many parts, right? Even digital marketing itself is a niche field. That too, you're doing for boutique owners
Yeah.
in specific is further niche, right? So you really need to have a lot of guts and also a lot of research to take such an unique and specialized field to proceed your venture. So, because I always wonder and see women like you, because I I'm a great working professional, but if you ask me, will you become an entrepreneur tomorrow? I don't know the answer. I don't have that. I'm not sure whether I have that risk taking ability like you folks. So I always admire you people a lot. So that goes to the next question. So lot of you chose a field called boutique. So boutique have so much of women entrepreneurs. In my previous episode, I have interviewed Sarah Books. She's
She's the best.
boutique hub partnerships director, right? So Lot of she was sharing about a lot of women entrepreneur stories about boutique and how she herself been a women entrepreneur boutique and so on. So my question to you is, how digital marketing especially helps women entrepreneurs to grow their business?
So using digital marketing, it's really interesting because there are so many facets of it, right? And I think in some ways that can be really overwhelming because I think we look at the opportunities to grow. It's funny, I'll meet with clients and I'll say, well, what are you doing for email marketing right now? And they're like, nothing. They're intimidated by it. And I think they're embarrassed because they're like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, that's okay, because that's an area of opportunity. Like, you're doing amazing right now. Like, you've used your app, you've used social media, you've used these other platforms, and email is just another opportunity for you to grow your business. And when you're doing it on your own, maybe that's not the route for you, because it's the learning curve and those things. But you know I think it is that balance of finding, what is the platform? You know, do we need to be everywhere? We really don't. If you can be and you have the resources to outsource, then I think it's a good thing. But, there are so many ways. And what I love about it, and you see this, we is digital marketing, live selling, live videos, things like this make the world so much smaller. And I love that, because it used to be, to build relationships with people, we needed them to walk into our store. And now we see with our clients, through live selling, they build these communities where, I mean, they are sharing their lives together, and the loyalty is really incredible. And so it's so fun to see. Sometimes it can be overwhelming because all the changes, but to see the ability to develop relationships in a way that we weren't able to do even just a few years ago. I look at Shopify and what it enables us to do, and Shopify was brand new when I started my boutique, and now, you know given a challenge, I think people could set up an online store by tomorrow and be selling things through drop shipping. So it is there are good things and bad things, but about the barrier to entry. But it is fun to see, like, the sky's the limit. And as a mom, I know, with you as a mom too, like, it's really fun to think about what that means for our kids and what they could be doing in a few years. So
Interesting. So one thing I always wonder and admire about you is your way of looking things in a different perspective and with a lot of positive lens towards that, right? So
I I
amazing answer, Elizabeth. Once again,
thank you.
you flattered me.
I try. And it is one of those things too where, as an entrepreneur, it's funny. This is kind of a funny side note, but when I had my boutique, it was beautiful. It was a mint green truck. I thought it was beautiful, and coral on the inside. And I would have people come in and you know, they would say, "You have my dream job." And I would always joke, "Well, when your direct deposit hits your account, you have my dream job." So, there's so many pros and cons, and you really do have to focus on the positives, because, there are days that are hard. So,
True, very true. So, the next question to you is, Elizabeth. Every field, there is always this problem when the pyramid goes high. Uh, Always women, the percentage of women representation drops. So, digital marketing is no different. Here, also, beyond a certain point, women are not able to cross and grow and break those barriers. So, according to you, why is it so? And what is causing them to stop at a particular point, according to you? And what should we do to increase this percentage of representation as we grow higher and higher?
I think it's really interesting with women. I was saying this actually to a friend yesterday. When I was pregnant with my oldest, I read this book. It was called The Mommy Wars, and it was talking about full-time working moms. It was essays from full-time working moms, stay-at-home moms, part-time work moms that worked part-time jobs, and I loved the view that it gave me, and I loved how it was so focused on empowering women to do what they wanted to do, and not necessarily to fall to the expectations that other people were putting on them or their family, but to be really intentional about, what do I want this to look like, and to have no shame in that, whether that is, being a stay-at-home mom or working full-time or, starting your business. And um, often I do joke a lot that when I go to digital marketing events, it is very heavily men. And, it's a curious thing to me. I think I'm surrounded by a lot of women, and I'm so thankful. And, I look at my mom and I think there's never a doubt in my mind that I'm able to do that. But I do think it is changing the narrative a little bit. And I think it is empowering women. One of the things that I've done is become involved in an organization locally that funds women businesses. And a big part of that reason is because when I wanted to start my boutique, I called my mom and my dad and I said, hey, we have some money saved, but could you, lend us some? And what do you think about this? And what about, profit and loss? And what about these things? And I had that resource built in, and a lot of women do not have that. And so I think it is, about empowering women, and using programs like this to really encourage women that maybe it wasn't even a thought in their mind, or they haven't, they didn't have a mom that grew this business. And so I think it is part of it too, I think, is, building each other up in those decisions, and like supporting our friends that want to work full time and supporting our friends that don't, but empowering them to make those choices, and kind of breaking out of that, those traditional, roles of the CMO and the higher ups. And I think it is definitely work in progress.
You're right, right. So as a community, we all need to come together to make it work, and we should break our inner bias, also societal bias, and need to help each other to definitely grow. And we have a lot of rooms to grow in, especially in digital marketing space, because the nature of work lot more suits us actually, for us to time our work and everything. Maybe like little bit of more effort. Definitely, I'm sure that we can reverse the stats and we can have more women representation, as well as more women leaders. So that cues me to the next question. um, because as I told in my intro also, right, in especially in the pandemic times, there was a surge in women influencers, thought leaders, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it is an, I'm not sure, delusion or perception that things are getting much better for women in digital marketing. So, according to you, is it a delusion, or really is it getting better for women in digital marketing space?
I think that it is getting better, and I think this is a big part of it. And it's really interesting. So I have three sisters. My older sister actually just she's in marketing, and she was a huge help to me when I started my boutique. She actually just started a new job as a CMO at an organization, and it's really exciting to to get to celebrate with her. And then I have two younger sisters. One of my younger sisters actually was a teacher, had her master's degree, and through the pandemic, she now has four children. She had three during the pandemic and just had her fourth. And she thought, I love being home with my kids. I love the flexibility. And so she thought, well, what can I do at home? I know I need to make money. What can I do? And I said, go look at courses that you can do. Go learn how to be, kind of survey what might be a good fit for you and your your strengths, and do it. And she's a go-getter, and she literally went and took a few courses, and she became a social media marketer. She went on Fiverr and she went on Upwork, and she started marketing herself. Literally no real previous experience, but she's a hard worker and she learned how to do it. And so I do think there are more opportunities, and I do think it's getting better because we have platforms like Udemy and Digital Marketer. And that's really how I learned. Is I found an email marketing course on Digital Marketer. I paid $99, and I took this course and learned so much, and really it allowed me to learn about a new field and then really immerse myself in it and become an expert on my own time. And so I think that's where there is a lot of opportunity for women, because it's something that you can do with flexibility. And that may not be what you want, but I do think it enables you to learn about email marketing and then become an email marketer from home and do it when the kids go to bed, or there's there to me, the flexibility has really created that opportunity to have both, to to have that flexibility. So it takes risk, right? I think there's probably still more risk in that than you know going that traditional path, obviously, but I do see that. I see that being a part of Height Digital. We have, I think we have, I should know this, five female owned franchises. And we also, a lot of the leadership, that's what I've loved about being a part of Height is so much of our leadership, it's women. And, I think women and moms and really, putting value on that and putting value on family, but also growing businesses and serving clients really well.
Interesting, interesting, Elizabeth. So this again reinforces what we discussed, right? Digital marketing have a lot of rooms because it gives you a lot of flexibility, so women can do more and more and really grow in this field if we really put their heart and soul and good community support system around them. I'm sure they are going to have wonderful career in digital marketing. So that pulls me to the next question, so that we can draw a few of your expertise. So those who wanted to grow their career in digital marketing, I know there is a multiple facets of digital marketing, and it's overwhelming sometimes, as you say. But what are the basic or required skill set for one to start their career and grow and accelerate in their career of digital marketing?
Sure. So I think the first step is really kind of taking, like, really being intentional about what do I love to do and what am I good at. I talk to my boys a lot about, I don't care what you do when you grow up. I want you to be happy. I want you to enjoy what you're doing. And so I think really evaluating, for example, if you're really a relationship builder and you love communication and you love building relationships with clients, the cool part is, you can be an account manager for a digital marketing agency. I work with a woman that she's in one of our mastermind groups, and she has a program for client account managers, and you can learn how to, really develop that skill. If it's something that you're good at and you enjoy, it kind of takes it to the next level. Or if you love to write, then, email marketing or sales copy can be, a great avenue to really focus on. Or if you're really into the details and, testing and looking at those, fine details, things like Facebook ads and looking at simple changes, all of those skill sets can be, used so well in different areas. And I think one thing that I always encourage people to do is to go into it with an open mind. Because I think if we're set on one thing and we get to it and we're like, oh, then we kind of feel like a failure. But if we go into it like with an open mind of like, this sounds fun. For example, I started a course in search engine optimization. And it was not for me. It was not, that is not, I think that SEO is an important part of growing a business, but I realized that is not going to be the area. I can explain it and I know why it's important, but I'm so thankful that there's somebody else that knows that, knows all the ins and the outs of that. And that's not going to be me. And I think that's another thing, even going into an agency, I own a digital marketing agency, but I have amazing people that I work with that fill in my blanks. So I don't have to be good at everything, but if I'm, good at something that can be the catalyst for our growth, and I have these amazing people supporting me, then, it allows me to focus on the things that I love to do. And that is, to me, the kind of the holy grail of entrepreneurship is when you get to do what you love to do. So, and serve people well and also work with amazing people.
Great, Elizabeth. It's very valuable tip. I'm sure that it will help a lot of people who are listening this. That comes to towards the end of the show, and I'm going to ask you the final question. This is my favorite kind of favorite question I ask, especially entrepreneurs like you. So for women entrepreneurs or women in leadership position, always they get this sense of non-accomplishment, both in personal and professional life. They always feel that I'm not giving enough in personal life, and similarly they will give that, hey, I could have given much more extra time to the professional life what it is required, and they will always feel like neither here nor there, and that sense of completeness or fullness will always be lacking. So how do you overcome that? Because I know that you are having an amazing balance in your family as well as in your career, and I see you fully satisfied and happy with what you're doing. So just to get that sense of accomplishment and fullness, and the balance in life and a professional life and personal life, what do you suggest and what do you do?
So thank you. And I do think it is, definitely work in progress, but I would say that the one thing that was probably life changing for me is when I started by saying I was at this, I was doing event planning and before I started my boutique. And as I was leaving that job, the owner of the catering company that I had worked for several years, and I'm still very close to, like, she's still one of my mentors and very dear friends. What she said to me right as I left, she said, write down what success looks like for you. And she said, I'm not talking about a number because we go off to start a business and I'm going to make millions. And she's like, I'm not talking about a number. I'm talking about what does a successful day look like? Does it look like, being able to, go work out in the morning, drop the kids off, and then do work, and then, but what does that look like? Because I think if we can be really intentional about that, that's our goal. Like the goal, it can be money, but that's you're going to get to that dollar amount and then you're going to want something else. But if you can say, if I am able to, in the day, knowing that, I got to go on that field trip, I got to, my son forgot his lunch and I got to arrange that. And if we can be really intentional about writing that down in the beginning, then, those days that we think, did I get as much done as I wanted to? If you can look back at that list of like what makes me successful, chances are you're probably going to have checked a lot of that off. And so, you know, not looking at, somebody else's success, but really focusing on, what does contentment look like to you, and what does, especially I think as a mom, what is, 5 years down the road, looking back with no regrets, what is that going to look like? And just being very intentional about celebrating those successes, because, you know, as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a woman, as a person, we don't celebrate our little successes enough. And that success gives confidence and reminds us, how good things are. So
I can relate to that because one thing I'm happy about myself is I celebrate a lot of small wins,
good.
and I used to get excited very much for every little things. In fact, in my home, people used to say, "Hey, you're getting award every 1 month here. Why each time you're feeling very excited about it?" So I always say that I don't know. I know this is a different award, right? I'm not getting the same award. It's fine. I'm happy with that. And every quarter when I achieve the target, I used to celebrate with the
Good.
team and feel elected about that. And the same way they'll say most of the times you hit your target. Why it is so? It's a new normal. But somewhat I don't agree with that. Every time it looks different for me, and it gives me that kick of like, hey, I'm doing it. And same for right now if I'm taking my kid out, or if I'm gifting my parents with something, or if I'm celebrating there, I feel equally happy, right? So now also, like before this, I just went out with my friends, but I bought dinner for my parents while coming back, like on seeing that they gave that happy smile. I every time I see that, I used to feel that sense of accomplishment. So it's about like, yeah, it's about like, as you rightly said, that one point I very much liked in your thing is 5 years down the line, when we look back, what will make us to not feel bad or not regret about it, right? So it's a good tip, Elizabeth. And I generally get excited for small things. Now it is giving me a reassurance like what I'm doing is right.
I love
So
it. And I think that's the fun in life too, is, celebrating those wins, because I think too, it like makes us more like we're celebrating with other people too. And I think it makes us really, strong cheerleaders for people that maybe don't have the tendency, that we do to celebrate those. I think we're a good influence on people that may struggle with those small celebrations. So
I still remember that post our meeting, right? If you remember that, I went to see the Statue of Liberty, and I was asking you all these things, right? I always make sure that in my work trip or whenever I explore new places when I get a break.
yeah,
So I
that was
always do that.
It was a fun trip to the subway. It was a
Yeah,
fun morning. It was
yeah.
just, and again, I think so cool to think like we live very far apart, but again, it's those relationships that you get to build. And then when you get to meet in person, even more fun. So I love that.
This session was really informative, Elizabeth, because a lot of people have interest in digital marketing. Maybe they don't know where to start, how to accelerate their career. Are they in right area? Digital marketing have multiple facets. As you said, that SEO, you didn't feel that it's for you, but you found that the, email marketing or app marketing or those things as your specialization. So I'm sure people will find their own passion, and there's tons and tons of opportunity to groom themselves and grow in the digital marketing space. And I'm sure this episode is going to seed some good thoughts in you and show some broad directions. And thank you, Elizabeth, for gracing this show with your elegant presence. And I'm a fan of your energy. And thank you once again for coming.
Thank you. I have learned so much from you, and I think it's so fun to see your journey too. I think it's, I'm always impressed by all that you do and all you've accomplished, and I love our partnership. So I'm thankful for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.